compulsion now that I got to see everybody. And then who are we missing from the Planning Commission? I see Mike, Regina, Jeff, and Jeff, but I think we have a quorum, so we can proceed. Okay, I'll call the meeting of the January planning.
Hey, Greg, can we just
I'm sorry.
just 1 more minute? I'm so sorry.
Oh, okay,
Okay, thanks.
no problem. I got excited.
I was kind of hoping our engineer would be here. He has the Zoom coordinates. So,
Well, did you need him here?
not really. All the paperwork is actually from his office.
Right.
So, and Jeff has been aware of this project for a long time.
Right.
He's weighed in,
long
seen the
time.
site. Oh, what's that?
It's a real long time. It seems like we've been.
It
Okay,
seems like
Greg,
it
we're good to go.
takes forever to get something done, right?
We're good to go, Ellen?
We are good to go.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to call the January meeting of the Jamestown Planning Commission to order, please. I don't think there's anyone from the public who wants to address us, other than I know some of you are attached to various projects, but we don't have anyone, do we, Ellen or Jennifer, that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, so we have 3 items on the agenda. The first one is the arcade building project with respect to home leasing. And we sent questions to home leasing and we got responses. And you should have both the questions and the responses should have been sent to you. So you should have them in front of you. And then Adam, if you want to talk about that before I ask if any commission members have questions or comments for you, can you just once again give us your full name and residential address, please?
Yes, Adam Driscoll. Address is 18 Fallwood Terrace, Hilton, New York, 14468. Yep. So the questions, do you want me just to kind of touch on some of the questions? And
Yeah, sure, if you wouldn't mind.
okay. With regards to a partnership with a nonprofit that would be able to house for veterans, we've been in discussions with UCAN, UCAN, the executive director, Jeff Rotunda, about a proposed partnership through the ESHI program, which is the Empire Supportive State Supportive Housing Initiative. And discussions, I think, are going in a positive direction. Jeff did mention, obviously, there's board approval needed and certain approvals from his side, obviously, to be able to do that. But it's like I mentioned, just going in the right direction, and they would be applying for 11 ESHI units out of our total of we have 36 residential units proposed at the moment for the project, and that usually takes place. Things are on a different schedule at the moment with the current ESHI application. They were supposed to be making awards, I believe, late winter, but haven't heard anything, or actually early winter. So the application for the next round, I believe, or we believe, will be in the summer, late summer, with decisions hopefully being back on their normal track of the fall. So that would be part of, so UCAN ESHI application would be part of home leasing's total application to HCR, which we're thinking we would submit our HCR application in the fall, winter of this upcoming year.
Okay. Does anyone from the commission have a question about home leasing's responses to our questions, or any other questions that they might like to ask Adam since he's here?
I just have a couple of
Sure.
questions or thoughts. I guess first of all, I'm really happy that you guys are interested in this project, and I really want to try to make sure that it can go through. I think it's a great service to our community, to that building, to residents that live here. Part of my concern when it comes to housing is, as our population declines, you know, are we going to have so much excess housing that it's going to cause other issues in other neighborhoods? And to help offset that is the mitigation. And the other thing that can help offset that is services that, you know, places similar to home leasing can offer the residents that live there that can support the community in other ways. So I'm really more interested in things that home leasing currently does in other locations to help facilitate either job growth or, you know, life skills or things like that that are more impactful to the residents and to the people living in the community. Our current labor force in this area is at an all-time low. We have a lot of need in our community. And if there's a way that you can partner with other organizations that are here, or that if you're already doing that in some capacity, if you can expand on that and how that could relate to this location.
Did you want a response to that before you ask other ones, Mike, or?
No, you can go ahead and, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so Adam, I'll leave it to you.
Okay. Well, to touch on a little bit on the job growth component, with 36 units, I think we were thinking that we would have a community leader, and we're obviously from our end, we're assuming if this was to be awarded and we had our local approvals and everything was awarded, that we'd have a community leader that would share responsibilities between our hopefully a community in Faulkner, and also a maintenance tech that would share duties between our Faulkner community and our Jamestown community. With regards to the ESHI and UCAN, there would hopefully be some additional jobs created from that based on the capital that they are awarded that allows for services for their veteran residents in our community or in our project. So that there's a potential there for some additional employment opportunities. And we're always definitely open to working with other organizations. But for the most part, well, and I guess I could say in construction, you know, we'd love to be involved with obviously the local labor force and any of the trades that would be available to during the construction. And we do, you know, this is kind of a small one, but we do hope to have a community room within our project, and that can be shared. It's not just for our residents. It could also be for the public that, you know, needs a space that's you know, a very well-maintained space that they could reserve and use at their leisure. But always open to different types of opportunities and synergies, and we welcome opportunities for any type of services where there's, you know, financial education or anything like that that could come to our project and help our residents.
Did you have a follow-up, Mike, or other questions?
Well, I guess, did you want to talk about the mitigation? And you said you're interested in increasing that amount, and I don't know if we want to discuss that a little bit, to what your thoughts are. Or?
You're addressing that to Adam, I'm assuming?
Yes, please.
Yes, I think we had proposed, and 36 units at the $500 per unit range, and we would be able to increase that to $1,000 per unit if that would be amenable to the board.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, Mike?
Just the, no, I guess if, really try to keep in the back of your mind ways to help the member or the people who are living there. I think you could turn a housing somewhere where people live into, somewhere that they can get other benefits, particularly training, which is something that our area desperately needs, and also other services, and just make sure that they have a way to communicate with other local agencies and to support them as they try to, better themselves.
Yes, absolutely. No, I appreciate that. And we would be open and welcome to be able to help in any way we can.
All right, thank you. Does anyone else from the commission have a comment or a question about the responses from home leasing?
I think a lot of what's being said, I'm listening to both, or what is, I guess I would say, just different viewpoints. Mitigation, though, maybe can't be handled easily in a product or in a new project. There's always going to be a limitation on their funds as to what they can do. But I think on the other side of that issue, though, is that mitigation is something that is highly important given where we are, I think, as a community. And mitigation is one of those things that can open the doors, I think, wider to reasons why people, maybe from outside the city, instead of moving out of the city to the country, might want to move back in. But it is going to come down to that question of space for housing and living for people, more than dealing with buildings, doing it for people. And so I think mitigation, as I say, I look at it as being important, but I don't think it can necessarily be solved substantially by new projects, especially in the downtown or anything that congregates a lot of people into one, let's say several or a lot of people into one building in one location. There's a lot, if I spend a lot of time walking my dog, I guess, as I could put it, and other things, looking around the community. And there's a lot of work that needs to be done to make particularly housing locations having more land space, because the style of living of people has changed dramatically from the 1910s and 20s when a lot of Jamestown was built. And we have to build or expand areas into those newer ways of living to be able to attract people. At least that's my belief, and something that I picked up as being a real estate broker, and kind of carried it forward in planning and other things. So I wouldn't underwrite the importance of mitigation, but it might be tough to really get what you really need out of one or two projects.
Yeah, and obviously this one project can't address the entire issue, but it is certainly something that we bring up with every project. So I think cumulatively, it can have an effect over time.
It will, no question about it. It's not that it shouldn't be there. It's just don't expect it to do as big a job as you might really like to see out in the community
Right.
by itself.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Anybody else have a question or a comment on the home leasing answers? So we're not looking for any action, but I guess, Adam, that looks to me like the commission feels like this is worth having you continue to do your work so that we can probably bring this project to fruition. So I appreciate your willingness to answer our questions and your willingness to be here to talk with us. That's really important. And the fact that you started talking to us way before we got way into the weeds of the project, I think that's really important. But I think if I could speak for everyone here, we seem to be in sync, so.
Well, Home Leasing is very grateful for the opportunity and also the openness and discussion and being able to, work through any type of items that, will arise, and we're excited to take the next step and start to work on our site plan approval and process and get that submitted soon, hopefully. But thank you very much to you and the board.
We're excited as well, if that's not clear, and we look forward to continuing to talk with you as we move this along.
Likewise, thank you.
Thank you.
I guess I can say I can't wait to see the completed project.
I think it'll be exciting.
Yep.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to the second, which is the parking lot for New Creation Assembly of God. And I note that Dr. Blair is here, previously known as iPad, but Dr. Blair, I haven't seen you in a long time. It's nice to see you. Did you want to say anything about the project before we turn it over to the staff?
Just some background. I came here in '99, and we had a couple of broken churches, and usually churches in decline, their property goes down too. And over the course of almost 20 years, we've reunited those churches and have upgraded things, taken one old house down that was on our original property. And we had some property we still have some property in West Ellicott that we thought we would develop. But when we were able to put the two churches back together, the congregation, or the leadership of the congregation, decided they wanted to be downtown and do ministry downtown. Even though our property in West Ellicott overlooks the lake, I'm thinking that's a great place to be. But this is where we are. We want to do the ministry here. We needed more space because it's a growing church, and we were looking at options of buying the stuff around us, and just interestingly enough, the next day, the house behind us burned. I didn't do it. I didn't do it, and it rolled down, and eventually they simply gave us the property, and we paid to have it knocked down, and so we wanted to extend our lot, and we'd like to take the whole triangle, but right now the land is back there. It's Mr. Kingsview has removed the burnt building, and actually also it was a source of drug use and drug abuse back there. So that's gone. And we're just trying to make the place nicer, continue to develop the property that we have.
Okay, well, we appreciate your continued faith, if I can use that word, in our community, and not leaving us. Glad you're staying. I'm glad you actually helped us with mitigation by tearing down a house and cleaning up the lot from the house that burned down. So your mitigation come to life. So
Good job.
Yeah,
I like to tear old things down and make them new if I can.
well, we don't want to tear everything down. So speaking of someone who lives in a very old house, but so we appreciate that. So I guess before I ask if anybody from the commission has questions, I'll turn it over to Jeff Lehman and Ellen, I think, to see what your recommendations are on the project.
Defer to Ellen. She's got all the paperwork.
Ellen, do you want to speak to the project?
Well, it's a good project. Like I said earlier, Bill and I have been looking at this for a number of years. And like he said, it kept growing as, I guess, a house burned down. So go ahead, Ellen. You can walk them through the plans if you want.
Okay. I'm going to actually share my screen. Can everyone see that?
All black. Well, there we go.
There we go.
All right. Okay, so we have our location, applicant information, our description of the project. There was a conference back in September providing, excuse me, providing required drawings. Everything checked off, all boxes on the checklist checked off. Everything inventoried on the existing site. If anyone sees anything they have questions on, please just look to give me a shout to pause where I am. So our environmental assessment form. All boxes checked off. So summary in the map. Now it's a little hard to follow here. Giving the location again in terms of its relationship to the rest of the city. The topography here. And the parcel in question, I can bring this down a little bit. Kind of see where we're talking about. So the blue is paved area, green outlined in terms of lawn, up here in the red.
So the green is the new part and the red is the existing part? Or actually the blue?
I think oh, sorry.
Or is it reversed?
Right.
Blue is a new proposed parking
Okay,
lot.
that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So red is the existing, blue is the new.
Yes.
Right.
And I'm assuming you took into account landscaping of the blue area?
There's-
Yes.
Could you just briefly describe that maybe?
I
there's
believe,
more to the
Go ahead.
plan, Jeff, and she keeps going. The plan is laid out a little bit different than what we normally would see, and we are going to discuss that with the engineer. But I mean, he's got all the information. It's just not really shown on the plan like we normally would.
Nice. So that's still, is that one of the things that still needs to be determined?
Well, I think when we get to the end, that is at a staff level, but again, all the information is here. As Ellen goes through it, you should continue to show it. There's a survey that was done.
Well, and I know that the landscaping is something that would be worked out at the staff level, but can you tell us anything about it right now, or what suggestions may have been made?
What do you have left on here, Ellen? I'm not controlling the screen. So.
Right. So I don't think we have anything about the landscaping yet. That's those are
believe-
pending reports.
I believe we have the existing trees do meet the landscaping requirement for the number of vehicles that are being proposed. Alan, I don't have it in front of me.
Could I chip in? I've got on this approximately the planting of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 additional trees in the green space that's there on the map. And
Will suffice for 60 parking spaces. There's one tree for every 10 parking spaces.
Does anybody else have a question? Oh, wow. What do you got there, Mike?
Well, this
Oh,
came in,
right.
this is what was delivered, and this sort of has a nice, you can sort of see things a little bit clearer with this.
Right. I'm just opening up mine. Yeah, and it identifies on here 6 new trees.
It's helpful for anyone to see that.
Yeah. Does anyone else have a question for Dr. Blair or the staff on the project?
I don't really have a question, but it's kind of nice to see the building and there's an effort to kind of rebuild. I guess I have a kind of an unusual feeling about the project as I was married in that church 60 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, and my wife was attending there at that time. We did go to another church that I'd been brought up in though as time went on. But it was nice. So I've got nice memories about it and would like to see it brought back to real life as a church. And it sounds like the plan is good. Eco strategy shows up just about everywhere nowadays. It's taking the place of a lot of our former engineers and designers.
Anybody else have a question? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, sorry. Will there be cameras there, surveillance on the parking lot at all?
yes, I have. There's 2 things that's taken place. The first phase was I've got 6 cameras indoors, and that's a recent event, and we've got computer and stuff like that. And I'm talking with Will. He used to have he's got a computer shop over in West Ellicott now. Used to be downtown. Smart guy, and we have the infrastructure. What we don't have are the new outdoor cameras. So we'll have probably 1 in the back, 1 in the front, at least. And so the money's been paid, and the plan is there, and most of the hardware is there.
Well, I
And
hope
does that include additional lighting as well? Like,
I don't have anything yet.
Well, I hope your parking lot is full every Sunday.
But if I can go back, there was Virginia's question about the lighting. I wasn't sure if I understood your answer.
I don't have any additional light. Right now, we have 3 LEDs on the back side of the church that shoot toward Prather Street,
Okay.
and they're fairly bright.
And that's what you currently have.
That's what we currently have.
Okay.
I have given some thought, but we have no plans, specific plans to put an additional pole. I was maybe going with a city light back there in the corner, just to give some additional stuff. It has come up. We just haven't done anything with that.
Okay. Anybody else have a question? So I'm assuming that the staff is recommending approval of the project subject to the final site plan being worked on and approved at the staff level, if I understand that correctly, right?
Yes.
That is correct.
Okay. So, well, let me just ask again if anybody else has a question. Anything else you want to add, Dr. Blair?
No,
You don't have to, but-
the church has been here since 1926. Had ups and downs like most organizations. Prior to the COVID thing, that
Yeah.
we were pushing 200, which wasn't bad. It's been a slow growth, but it's been consistent. And our commitment to the neighborhood. Essentially, when you've got 200 seats, that's really what you're talking about. You're not talking about a regional thing.
Right.
Our commitment to working with this neighborhood is firm.
Are a lot of your attendees from the neighborhood, do you know, or?
I would say I'd say about 20%, 20 to 40%. But we do have a regional
Right.
draw. But here's the interesting thing it's truly multicultural. I have Puerto Rican associate pastors and mostly when it comes to multicultural, mostly it's gone in that direction. I have African American people in the congregation as part of the team, ministry team, but the real growth potential is probably in the Puerto Rican community. And so we have 2 pastors that are on staff with me that are from that community.
So do you do a Spanish service or?
We interpret. What we have is we have one interpretation system. Pastor Juan Perez, he's been around for a good while. A lot of people might know him. He typically stands on the platform with me pre-COVID. Okay, things have changed.
Yeah.
And he gets my sermons and he translates them to those who have those particular headsets. And he holds his own services here. The other hearing is a hearing loop that we have. That's for hard of hearing people. So we're making the effort. Sometimes it's hard because we're dependent upon in-house talent. And a church of 200, that's okay. It is what it is. We try.
And excuse my ignorance, but are you doing any community projects to help people in the neighborhood? Not that you're required to do that, but
well,
I can imagine you wouldn't be.
There's a couple of things that we do. I mean, we looked into becoming another food bank, but there's one across the street.
Right.
So they don't really, they'd be kind of redundant. They don't want to really deliver to us. But at the same time, we probably spend about $1,000 a month in aid, direct aid to people. And that's community. Now we also maintain about 50 mission. We support about 50 different missions. About 6 or 7 of those are local, howbeit the mission downtown for the men. St. Susan's, Love Inc., a variety of those kind of things around the town. The only thing that we've done in joint with another church recently has been with St. James across the street. We've done some feeding things with them, but we do support the mission and the St. Susan's Kitchen. So,
Well, and I'm sure the community appreciates everything you do. I just wanted to give you the opportunity to let everybody know what you folks do down there, because it's certainly needed and it's really appreciated. So thank you.
You're welcome. Go ahead.
Just, I don't know if it's off topic or not, but if it is deemed to be like dark in that area, is there a process the city uses like to put lighting on any of like Prather or any of the other streets right there?
He'd have to come back through and just, and show that to Larry, the building inspector, basically.
All right, so there is, so if it is dark, there is a way to get street lighting.
Most definitely.
Any other questions or comments? If not, can I get a motion to approve the environmental assessment form?
So moved.
Moved by Jeff Nelson. Can I get a second, please?
I'll second.
Moved by Mike Lauren. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. And then can I get a motion to approve the site plan subject to finalization of the site plan being worked out at the staff level?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Moved by Mike Lauren, and was that seconded by Jeff Nelson?
Yes. We work
Any
as
other,
a team.
any other questions or discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. The motion's carried. Thank you, Dr. Blair.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
We look forward to the project being done.
Me too.
Wish you a lot of success.
I'm sure, especially.
And Mr. Nelson, you and I need to get together and I'll give you a tour of the renovations that are actually going on now.
That was good.
We're taking the opportunity downstairs to renovate for the kids' areas.
Cool.
Okay, so, all right,
Thank you.
Mhm.
bye-bye.
And then, excuse me, I'm losing my voice. I'm out of practice. The third item on the agenda was the small cell infrastructure ordinance. And I know, Mike, you had raised some very specific technical questions. I think you did that before, and you did it again with me. And I don't think you ever got the answers to your questions. And I'm not sure, they're mostly technical questions, and I'm not going to say that Jeff couldn't handle them, or maybe Elliot or somebody, but I think it's worth getting those questions on the record. I know you sent them to me in the printed copy, as an attachment. And maybe I think it would be really helpful if we could put those questions in the record. There weren't that many, but I don't know how you wanted to handle it, Mike.
Well, they did address them at the last meeting. There was an attachment that they sent through. I believe Ellen forwarded it.
Okay, I'm being corrected. Thank you.
From that.
Okay,
And
so
so they were addressed. I'm trying to.
so did you have follow-up questions,
I
Mike?
did have follow-up questions for the ordinance that we received. It was revised on 1/11.
Right.
And
You wanna-
that was, it's mainly just clarification, I think.
Mike, is it useful for me to share my screen in terms of getting the ordinance on the screen?
Oh, that may be, unless everyone has a copy of it, because I'm just referring to it and.
Well, I think even if we all have a copy, it might be good to bring it up on the screen so we can all look at the same thing at the same time.
That's that.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess my first question is on page 7. And it's number 4. And this is just sort of a clarification so I can make sure I understand everything. This is saying, let's see, that it includes the wireless equipment associated with the antenna. But on page 13, it says excluding the antenna. The first one, size right there.
Oh, size, okay.
Yes,
Let me
it
make
says
a note of that.
the one says including and the other says excluding.
Excluding, right?
No, I don't know if it's just worded and I'm just, I just want to make sure that it's clear for,
Absolutely. Yeah.
so that's,
Saying the same thing, so they should, first of all, it shouldn't be in the document twice.
okay.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, we should probably eliminate the first one.
So eliminate the first reference on page 4.
It should be including the antenna, I believe, and but the first reference should be removed so that we only have it in the document one place.
And you're saying take away this one.
Yes.
Okay.
My next,
Before you go ahead, Mike, just to make it clear, you're eliminating the part that says including the wireless equipment, and you're leaving the page 13 where it says excluding.
No, it should, page 13 should say including, but
Okay.
we're getting rid of the first.
Okay, so page 13 should say including, and you're getting rid of the first reference on page 4.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure I got it clear in my head.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
let's see, on page 12, it just refers to metering equipment. It's, where are we at? Yeah, right, yep. Okay. So when it says the metering equipment may be placed at ground level, I was just curious on what the size of the metering equipment is, or if that needs to be defined any further, or if that's just.
Elliot, are you on the call?
Actually, I think this came from Chris
Okay.
from the BPU.
I am on the call.
Okay.
and
I
I'm
can
not
make
sure
a
what
note
the
to connect
meeting-
with Chris about that.
And I don't know if it's just like a plug they plug in to meter it, or if it's something, a box of some size that they
Right.
store more stuff.
So Mike, are you asking what that would entail, that metering equipment, and
It
how
would-
big
it
it
would-
might be?
Yeah, how big it might be, and if it's at ground level, is it gonna be in hindrance to anything else at ground level? Sidewalks, is it gonna protrude out from the pole?
Right.
You know,
Right.
just, it might be something they can open up the pole and plug something in, I'm just not sure.
Okay.
Page 13, under notes, on the very bottom, it just says the city will not take ownership. Do we want to say if the pole is abandoned, or is it just the city will not take ownership, period?
Period. That's a private pole.
Okay,
If they're putting it in just for their use, we're not going to maintain it.
okay. Page 14, under antennas.
Huh?
Yep, right there. So it says no more than 3 times a pole diameter. On page 13, it says the maximum allowed diameter is 20 inches. So if 20 times 3 is 60 inches, and that seems excessive.
A little bit.
Would agree with you. That's one we can talk to Chris about, but yeah,
Yeah, where was the
definitely
other
need to
reference,
pull that
Mike?
back.
Yeah, where's the other language?
The other language, let's see, is on page 13. And it says maximum allowed diameter is 20 inches. It was towards the top of 13, I
I
believe.
think we need an up to.
Pole diameter, yeah.
Yep.
Last sentence, yeah.
Okay.
So would we be dropping that other section or changing it to reflect this?
I think we need but not to exceed a certain size. You know, be that 24 inches or what.
Yeah.
Well, I thought this
I don't
says the
wanna throw out
maximum allowed is 20 inches, so.
I don't want to throw out a number out there and then find out that, you know, the standard receiver is 25 inches or something. So
Right.
We'll
right.
look into that.
Yeah, I'll connect
Alright.
with Chris about that.
On
Yeah,
that,
and make the 2 sections consistent.
Obviously, this isn't something we deal with in a daily basis either.
Page 14 under paint. Let's see, this says, it says must be, but then it's followed by or. So it says the minimum paint system must be epoxy prime paint. And then the next sentence,
Yep,
it says or
Where's the or? I'm sorry.
it's right here.
right there.
Oh, okay.
So maybe it just seems very specific type of, architectural coding or that they're requiring. So I don't know if we just want to simplify it.
I don't like the manufacturer's best paint system either, actually. Now that you say that.
Yeah, I think we could, I think we take that out because that's too vague.
Yeah, so you could take out the phrase beginning with or.
Or you could add as approved by the Director of Public Works or something of that nature so that we have a ability to review it, that they're not using finger paints on it or something.
Right.
Yeah. Know what I mean?
So leave the or phrase, but put in there as approved by the Director of Public Works.
Something like that. Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay.
I mean, it's fine with me. I don't know what Mike thinks.
Well, I just try to keep restating what you guys are saying so I get it clear in my head and then Mike can still question it or.
I mean, that's just standard language in most of our code.
Yeah, the rest of it's fine. It was just very specific and then just sort of saying or that, and it was sort of.
No, I appreciate that. In terms of going over this, I went cross-eyed several times, so
I'm sure you did.
From having written job specifications for construction years ago, I look at the language and you can't leave it loose like that. Creates a lot of problems in the field.
Right, exactly.
Maybe different now all these years later, but I doubt it.
Well, yeah, page 15 at the very top, you have it highlighted. I just don't understand the correlation.
Anything highlighted is still to be clarified. So
Okay.
those are things that still are outstanding.
Page 16. This is just under electrical disconnect. I don't know if there's a requirement to have a sign to where the electrical disconnect is, or if that's just something the industry knows what where the electrical disconnects are located.
So is your question comment about signage specifically?
If there's
Okay.
anything, do we need a sticker on there that says this is where the electrical disconnect is, or if it's something that, people who work on that probably already know.
I believe that's covered by code.
Okay.
Again, we can check with Chris Rogers on that.
And my last thing is page 18, which is the overhead wire.
Top, middle, bottom. Oh, here we are.
Right there, number 4. I believe that all these small cell units are all connected by fiber optics. And I didn't know if there's any guidelines to running the fiber optics to each unit.
Typically, what we've dealt with it so far, Mike, has been all underground.
Okay.
The Riverwalk, like behind or up the JAMA, they ran it down along the bike path underground.
Okay, so that's where the overhead wires are not permitted.
Right.
Okay.
The idea is we don't want these things draped all over the place, which is
Oh, no, I agree. Yeah.
has been kind of the norm for what's coming in. It's obviously the cheapest way to put it up and get it up, But, so that's where that came from.
All right. And those are my only notes on the document. So thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Anybody else have questions or comments? Do we have a timetable for when this will come back for us to recommend to the city council?
I guess from where I sit, that could be next month. Elliot, do you have any position on that?
No, I would probably say next month.
Okay.
Because, one of the things that we need to get together is we still have a couple of differences between the engineer that we have as well as Verizon's engineers.
So you're still working some stuff out, right, Elliot? Okay.
Yeah.
So no action is needed today, but anybody else have a question or a comment?
Hang on, sorry.
Oh.
I was not able to, I'm sorry, we have an attendee coming in. I was not able to do that while sharing my screen and not able to see it while sharing my screen. So I apologize to the attendee coming in here.
Okay. And is this person coming to comment on the ordinance we were just discussing?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
Hi.
I think it's still connecting to audio, so.
Connecting. Hear me.
Yeah, I don't know if they hear us or not. Oh.
Can you
hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you. My apologies. I wasn't able to let you into the meeting previously, so my apologies for the delay.
Yeah, hi. Are you here to comment on the small cell infrastructure ordinance?
Yes,
Okay, can I ask you to state your name and residential address, please?
sure. My name is Theodora Sferato. I'm actually Executive Director of Environmental Health Trust, and I live in Maryland, so I'm not a stakeholder. I am coming to provide information.
I can hear you. My apologies. I wasn't able to let you into the meeting previously, so my apologies for the delay.
Yeah, hi. Are you here to comment? Oh, we're getting echoes. Cell infrastructure ordinance?
Oh, I think I know Yes. what's happening.
Okay,
I think
can
I have to
ask you
turn off.
State your name and residential address, please.
Sure. My name is Theodora. I see. I had to turn off the live stream. I am so sorry.
That's all right.
Right.
I could not figure out what was going on.
Yeah, I
I was
couldn't either.
listening.
And as much as I like to hear my voice, I didn't want to hear it twice, but nor did anybody else for that matter. Can you tell us something about your organization before you give us your comments?
Sure. We're a nonprofit started about a decade ago, focused on preventable health risks by Dr. Deborah Davis, who worked on breast cancer and environmental health, Dr. Ronald Herberman, as well as Dr. Schreiber. And our scientific advisors and our scientists are among the leading scientists working on the issue of electromagnetic radiation, non-ionizing radiation in health. In the world, actually. And we work on a number of different projects, but I wanted to, we publish as well. I've published on the issue of radio frequency radiation, and as well, Dr. Deborah Davis and Dr. Miller have published extensively on the issue of wireless and health. I recognize that there are laws at the federal, state, and local level that you're contending with related to electromagnetic radiation. However, I wanted to make you aware of a few things. First, there was just an article that came out in the, and I apologize, I have too many things up on my screen, that just came out in the entitled Electromagnetic Fields, 5G in Health, What About the Precautionary Principle by John William Frank, detailing the extensive body of research that indicates that wireless is not as safe as we might think from what you might read online and so forth. In fact, our scientists have published, in this article, site references our publications, have published numerous articles documenting harm, which includes not only cancer, DNA damage, oxidative stress, impacts to memory and sperm, but also, and this pertains to planning, Also impacts to trees, bees, birds, our natural environment. And these are all issues which have not been fully made a part of the limits that we have. So for example, there's a lot of controversy, which we would call industry created and fueled controversy about the issue of, is wireless harmful to people or not? However, if you look at the issue of impacts to trees, birds, bees, our natural environment, we have no limits that were ever created to protect them. So you're looking at putting poles up, maybe near trees. Birds will perch on them. Trees will have limbs. Who's going to cut those? Who's going to be in charge of the cutting? What about impacts to trees? There's actually a paper entitled Radio Frequency Radiation Injures Trees, which is about how trees in line of sight to cell antennas have damage sustained on the side of the tree that is near and in line of sight to the antenna. And over time, a lot of those trees have to be felled. This was a study that looked at dozens of trees. And I, like right outside my window, I can tell you where I live, we're dealing similarly with the situation where they're going to be putting up these antennas with no public process or pushing to do so, as they are across the United States, without even considering the impact to the natural environment. So we believe there needs to be an environmental review. Now, I can send you a letter from the Environmental Protection Agency that was just sent to me, which details how they have no funded mandate and have not looked into this issue since 1984. Now, they haven't the mid-90s is when they were defunded, but their last review of the issue was in 1984, as she sent to me. And as well, also, she detailed in this letter how there has not been any review on impacts to birds, bees, or trees. So despite our assumptions of safety, there simply aren't any. I also wanted to make you aware of the New Hampshire Commission to Study Human Health and Environmental Effects, which released its final report with 15 recommendations, which include setbacks and reducing exposure to humans. And also that there are many ordinances that are passed across the United States, which have restrict the installation of small cells in residential neighborhoods that have setbacks from 500 to over 1,000 feet setbacks between residences and the antennas. I realize you can't prohibit service. I'm not saying that. There always has to be some way that if service were prohibited, that is addressed, a path to that. What I am saying is that many communities are taking action to use as much authority as they have in the setting of, in the siting of these antennas. So I can send you the New Hampshire report and any other resources you're interested in. I'm glad to present. I'm glad to bring some experts or share with you why there are literally hundreds of scientists who are calling to halt the rollout of 5G and small cell infrastructure. So once you get that antenna site, you can easily, with very little paperwork, put in 5G infrastructure as well. And a lot of the calls to minimize the rollout are not just about 5G, it's about the densification of 4G. And I would also add that the insurance companies are classifying this as a high risk in their reports. And as well, the wireless companies and the companies that are building the poles and putting up the antennas, they can't get insurance for long-term damages from the radio frequency radiation from the antennas. And another thing to consider is, do you have insurance that would cover both, the local authority as well as individuals related to this, because there are electromagnetic radiation exclusions for non-ionizing radiation. And even the companies themselves, in their own insurance that they provide to people related to cell phones, they actually define the radiation from the antennas as a type of pollution in their own insurance coverage. So the issue of insurance and finance is an important one. If you feel that this is safe because you've looked it up and it seems to be safe, I would urge you to read what Dr. Leonard Hardell has published. There's numerous publications on the conflicts of interest, because I would say that the wireless industry makes the tobacco industry look like a mom and pop shop. And I am not this is not an exaggeration. There was recently an article in the Washington Spectator talking about a lot of these issues. I can send you that link as well. They point to research that we did. I also do investigations. The CDC, for example, their web pages were, they have several web pages that were written, drafted by an industry consultant, and so on and so forth. It's a whole bucket. But I'd like to offer presenting at any time. I would guess from the lack of public participation today that most people are not aware of these plans. And I can tell you in my town, when this happened, people literally woke up to cement being poured and antennas being built in their front yards. And almost from nothing to hundreds of people were packing rooms saying, what is going on here? Why weren't we informed? So I would offer that anything you can do to engage the public on this so they understand what you're talking about, like a 28 cubic foot equipment in front of your home, like that's big. That's like a refrigerator. You can stand in it. In fact, we built them and then stood in them to show how big they are, and to have these near residences is really a challenge in terms of property value, as well as all the other aesthetics. So really engaging the community is so important, so they understand exactly what you're talking about. I just would urge that, and I'm glad to talk more and at any time. So I will be sending an email with contact information as well as the resources I talked about. And I so appreciate that you let me speak today.
I would suggest that if you communicate with our planner, Ellen, that you put any citations to the research that you've talked about. So in case anybody would like to take a look at it, they could. The only thing I'd point out that we've been working on this ordinance for a while, quite slowly, quite deliberately, getting input from commission members, staff members, and our local newspaper has actually, I think, been pretty good about providing information from these meetings, both online and in print. Obviously, lots of people are distracted by the pandemic and by the holidays, and a lot of football fans around here are distracted. So I don't know, we don't usually get a lot of people at these planning commission meetings. And even if we recommend to go ahead with the ordinance, it still has to go to city council, still has to go to city council committee. We have a council representative on the planning commission. So I think this is going to be aired quite thoroughly before we finally make any kind of recommendation to the city council, and then they take on their process. So we're still in the whole process, gathering information. And I think you weren't here earlier when one of our members, Mr. Lauren, was questioning a lot of the details in the ordinance. So I think, and I previously have, when I saw the first copy, made a lot of comments, and our staff has. And so we're probably going over this with a fine-tooth comb, which is what our job is, because we realize this is important, and we need to understand what it is that we would be ultimately recommending. So I think so far, I feel confident saying we've done a pretty good job going over it, and certainly would welcome more public input if they had strong opinions about this. So I appreciate you coming and talking to us.
Thank you so much. I'll send you citations so that you have that information. And if some municipalities are actually meeting with lawyers, independent lawyers, about the best way they can retain as much authority and not open the red carpet, but rather ensure that people are participating in the decision-making process when one is coming in front of their homes, because that's what it really comes down to is
Sure.
people saying, wait, how did that get there? And then there's an ordinance that said it could, and they say, wait a minute, I didn't know, I didn't, and that's what certainly happened here in our county. So.
And the experience you talked about with people getting quite upset was right where you live?
Yes, I'm in Montgomery County, Maryland.
Okay.
So we're a suburb of Washington, D.C.
Right.
And there's a few neighborhoods here where they became, I don't understand why, but a few years ago, it's been years now, that this has been an issue in our community. The different companies had a proposal to put the small cell facilities in area in North Potomac and about 3 different areas here. And so that sort of had prompted a whole awareness, which I thought was kind of unprecedented, actually, in our community. We had meetings in schools that were packed. I'll be sure to send you a link to that as well.
Yeah.
If you're interested.
No, I would like to see. Was this a countywide ordinance or a municipal ordinance that people were objecting to?
Well, actually, if you're asking, it's a little complicated. So first there was these proposed permitting happening for antennas without an ordinance that adequately dealt with it, but
Right.
it was being moved forward. Then there have been, and pardon me if I don't remember if it's 3 or 4 years of a local ordinance being proposed that's gone all around the mulberry bush, as you can imagine, between the Fed committee and the city council, and then ultimately tabled. And then we've also had, amidst all of this, which I don't believe you have yet, or at least it hasn't passed yet, a state streamlining bill to even restrict what we as a county or a city would want to do. So all of that has been part of the landscape of action here in Montgomery County. What ended up happening in like North Potomac, which is just up the road from here, they tabled, it's just on pause, because the county engaged in a lawsuit against the FCC, contending that it's the cart before the horse. And now our organization is actually in a lawsuit, legal action against the FCC as well, contending that their 25-year-old radio frequency exposure limits are inadequate and they didn't review the record. Because they haven't complied with NEPA is what we are, well, we are saying many things. I can send you those links too. So in the meantime, things have been on hold. Our county council has not acted to move forward on anything regarding residential yet for a variety of reasons. But we just heard today that they're just beginning again. So
did you say there was or wasn't a Maryland statewide ordinance on this issue?
I'm sorry, it was proposed.
But it
and
hasn't.
Then massive opposition, including our county executive, now county executive, and it has not passed in
Okay.
Maryland yet.
Right. Okay.
But half the states in the United States have passed state streamlining laws.
Okay.
I have just two questions if I can.
Mhm.
Sure.
All right, well, thank you for coming and talking with us a little bit. When you say that when they had meetings, they were packed with people, were they packed because they had health and safety concerns, or because of aesthetics for how they looked, or the placement of the poles? Like, what was
Everything.
the driving factor?
Everyone came. I think with this issue, there's a lot to bite on. There were people talking about how it looked, people talking about, I don't know for sure if it's harmful, but I don't want it near my kids. People saying, look, this is going to affect my property value. And then we have another issue, which I think is an important one. I don't know if it'd be more of a council issue, but we have a number of permitted antennas that are not following the permit. They're in the wrong place. They have different aspects of it haven't been followed, and there's nothing in place to ensure compliance. We don't have an adequate enforcement situation here. So we have people with antennas and structures by their homes that aren't even supposed to be there. So that was another issue, was the lack of enough infrastructure in the local government to even deal with the situation that we have.
And
You can watch them all the videos online. It's like a 2-hour conversation.
And when you were referring to publications and stuff, are those publications in like mainstream medical journals, or is there like, is there anything that's peer reviewed that I can read?
We always put forward peer-reviewed published articles. We would contend that it's industry and industry-funded scientists that always say it's not peer-reviewed, or it's not this or that, and that's just not true. There's plenty of peer-reviewed articles in respected journals.
Like,
in fact,
can you give me one so I can look it up? Like any
Sure.
journal?
I will send you many. Environmental research.
Well, something that's in like a mainstream journal that I'm gonna like, Journal of American Medicine, something that I'm gonna like know.
Well, okay, let me
You don't
go
have to do it now. You can
yeah, I can send you many.
before-
I can say this, the National Toxicology Program study that found radiofrequency radiation has clear evidence of cancer in rats. If you go to the National Toxicology page, you can learn about that. That study was designed to look at are our FCC limits appropriate, because they're only based on stopping heating and burns. And Dr. Ronald Melnick, 28-year NIH scientist who designed that study, he's retired. He is now one of our advisors, and we have a lot of his publications, like in Health Physics, which address all of the criticisms which are unfounded, and I will send you that. In addition, a lot of Dr. Linda Birnbaum, former NIEHS director, she is now retired as well, I will say. So she did a statement, which is in an amicus brief, which I will send you for our case, about the importance of that study. And in addition, former U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service scientists have also published and are speaking out and filing statements related to this issue. So I'll send you a whole list of peer-reviewed published science.
Yeah, if you can send the citations to our planner, Ellen Shadle, and then she can distribute it to the commission.
Great, I will do so.
Do you have any other questions, Mike?
No, and about how many people were at these meetings in percentage wise of the population?
I can't say that I counted. It was a packed elementary school. I don't know if it was the lunchroom. It was big. We have big schools. And you can see it from the visual as well. I would say whenever we've had meetings, city council meetings, or there's time where they'll have a public testimony, it's packed. And unlike anything really we've ever seen in the county. I mean, and that's because people are, they don't want the antennas near their homes. So I didn't count exactly, but you can see from a visual what it would be. I would say around 200. And there are also people watching the live stream. It was all online and so forth.
Okay.
So
Anybody else have a question? If not, thank you, and we'll look forward to getting the citations.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there any other business to come before the commission this afternoon?
One comment I think I'd like to make,
Sure.
what we just listened to. When we started this conversation about this 5G network and so on, there was the comment by the gentleman, I think he was out of Mayville or something like that, that had written and talked about some of these kinds of comments. And we kind of, I don't want to say pushed it aside, but took it as just complaining without substance in a sense. And all of a sudden to have this woman come on and be talking in a way where there seems to be more substance to the thinking of a lot of people, it's, kind of scary. It kind of raises some thinking about it.
I agree with you,
Whether it's
Jeff.
valid or not, I have no idea.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
based on a lot of things that have happened, it was science and technologies and everything over the years, something like this creeping through now and then is maybe not totally unrealistic.
Well, that's why we want to see the citations and check
Absolutely.
out some of the research on our own.
I thought that was a dead issue though, until a few moments ago.
Well, I won't express my opinion on this. I would just say, let's get the citations. And I know there's probably a lot of it and we can't all get through it, but to the extent that you can,
It's
check
important.
it out.
Yeah, government has shown us in a lot of ways recently that not doing your homework on things can be a disadvantage.
No, and I think we have been doing our homework and maybe we got a little bit more to do, but I've talked to different people who I respect their opinions on this, who have some background in these things. So and I continue to do that. And all the comments that were made are in the public record now. So it's certainly part of our record.
Oh,
Both
yeah.
the comments and the questions, so it's there. And I assume the PJ will again talk about this. So I guess I would wait for the citations and then to the extent that you have time to do it, start checking some of it out.
I tend to agree with that. I'm not trying to push.
No, I know. And my advice is I wouldn't be scared. I
Things
think we
came up
should
again
just
so
do our
fast.
due diligence like I think we always do.
Yeah.
We could probably there's probably a study out there that speaks to the safety of it as well. And we can compare that to what some of the, the current industry standards are.
Sure.
It's part of doing your homework.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I agree. I think we do need to do our due diligence in looking into the safety of this. We've been looking at a lot of details on things, but safety is something that, as a council member here, I'm concerned about. So I would like to see some more information. We got a lot of information in a short period of time. And as you said, Grant, some of the citations it's worth looking at.
Yeah, and any recommendation on an ordinance would eventually end up in front of the Public Safety Committee at the council. So
Right.
aptly named, so that they certainly would take a good look at it along with all the council members.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Anything else to come before the commission this afternoon? Jennifer, did you just want to remind us about, I think it was the conflict of interest statements, and isn't there one other statement?
The conflict of interest statement is for appointed and elected officials, and then the
Right.
BP board members as well.
But were there two statements, or am I hallucinating at this point in the day?
No, I sent the memo that normally accompanies, it was a separate attachment. So you did get 2 attachments with your email.
Okay, I thought, or maybe I got 2 emails because of being on the BPU board as well. And
Could have, yeah.
so you need everyone to fill that out. And is it best to try to print it out and send it to you via mail, or can we sign it electronically, or what?
I talked to the mayor about it. You can sign it electronically and return it, or if you want to print it and then scan it back.
Okay.
It's entirely up to you.
And you could still take it via mail, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't want to diss the post office. But.
So when did you send that email?
I'm sorry, that was just for the BPU board member.
Okay,
And
okay.
then elected officials and the department heads that were appointed by the mayor.
So the planning commission doesn't have to get to it.
No, you got it.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm still wearing too many hats and I get confused. So I'm glad I asked the question. So
Yeah.
just ignore everything I just said. Yeah, okay. Well, when the BPU board meets on Monday, I'll remind them there.
Thank you. That would be great.
Yeah, hopefully I'll remember to do that the way I didn't have to do it today, but All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Lehman. Can I get a second?
Second,
Moved by Mr. Nelson. All in favor?
aye.
Our meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. I'll see you soon.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.